Hey, everybody. It is episode 87 of Eat, Drink, Write, an Urban Fantasy Whiteboard. This week, we're going to start off talking about time travel in fiction. We probably have 5 episodes worth of time travel talks, but we're just going to talk about general time travel tonight. This is something I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things. I mean, we do write urban fantasy, but I love the sci-fi end of things too.
There's not necessarily a but in that, and I have some stuff to talk about today.
Okay, very cool. Fair enough. But before we get too far in, we are recording this on August 30th.
Yes.
So our thoughts are with everybody that is dealing with Hurricane Ida right now here in the United States and Louisiana, and
Absolutely.
the track of that hurricane, from the victims to the first responders to everyone that is helping over there. Our thoughts are with you.
Yep.
It's just terrible, terrible, terrible. 16 years pretty much to the day.
It was to the day.
Which 16 years ago, I was in labor with your youngest sister.
I remember.
During Hurricane Katrina.
During Katrina, we had crazy storms already in Atlanta from Katrina.
And they wouldn't tell me. I was in labor, so they weren't going to tell me that, oh, by the way, there's tornadoes going on outside. And
meanwheal, your other children, were standing at the window going, oh, that's like, why is that flying through the air?
The Kentucky Fried Chicken that you all ate at that night, it was gone. I mean, the tornado took it out.
I know.
16 years ago. So
oh
my Lord. But
our thoughts are very much with everybody in the path of Ida, and I hope everybody is safe.
Yes, please stay safe. How was your week?
It's been fine-ish, I suppose. I'm ready to graduate. I just want to be done with everything. A lot of the lab responsibilities, 2 different lab responsibilities, have fallen on my shoulders, and it's gotten to be a bit irritating. I'll leave it at that.
Well, you're not getting paid but for one of them, and suddenly you're expected. I mean, I'm your mother, so of course I'm very protective. Mama Bear comes out.
Well, but not, and I won't get too much into it. It's just, I do a lot that is outside of my job description. And so a lot of that has been coming through in the past couple of weeks. So I'm a little frustrated, especially today. I had a very long day, and it was just, about stuff where, I have a lot of experience in the field that I work in. I worked in it for 3 years now. I know how cell culture works. I know the ups and downs of it. And when people don't listen to me, and they just started the semester, that's an issue. So it's something that could affect other people's experiments. It's something that could affect my experiments. And they're just being very careless at the moment. So my week has been very frustrating on that end.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. My stuff I've taken care of. I've semi-fixed the issue today. So hopefully it'll get better. I think I just butted heads with my advisor a little bit today, and
that's never a good thing.
No, but I thoroughly believe that I'm in the right, and if I went to my other boss, I think he would be on my side. So if it comes to that, then I'll do that. But anyway, it's just been very frustrating. However, I mentioned last week that I started working on the snowflake method for a book that I have.
Yes.
And so in doing that, I have had so many new scenes come to my head for that book, which is good and bad. I need to finish I have like 5 projects going on right now, and I need to finish a bunch of those before I can really start in this one. And so I've kind of reserved this one for next year. So I want to finish some stuff this year before I start in this one next year. But the snowflake method has very much inspired a lot of inspiration.
Inspired inspiration.
And so I've had a lot of fun thinking about that and writing down some new scenes that I have for it and that kind of thing. So that's been very exciting.
Nice. Oh, I'm jealous. I can't wait to sit down and start working on that. I've got a lot going on right now.
Honestly, 5 minutes at a time. I sit down, I write down a paragraph, and I'm like, cool, got that out of my head. Or I have time to go do cell culture.
And that's what I need to start doing. I need to start just taking a minute, a minute, because it's been put on the back burner for too long, and that's not fair to my dreams. That is, you know, writing is one of my dreams. And so, but it has been crazy. I woke up this morning and realized I have 3 days to prepare for court.
Oh, yikes.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've only got 3 days because we've got Dragon Con, which I am not going to give up Dragon Con.
Yep.
That is something I look forward to. We missed last year because of COVID.
Yep.
I am very excited to go. We've got all our masks ready. I'm going to dress up. You're not going to dress up. But
nerd shirts. I got nerd shirts.
That's true.
Very much
that's dressing up.
My Resident Evil shirts. I have an R2D2 shirt. I have, you know, I've got stuff.
That's very cool. I'm going to dress up like a Beastmaster hunter from World of Warcraft.
Nice.
But I have to find the ears. I got to buy the ears.
Oh.
Because I've got elf ears, but they're not the night elf. Not night elf. I am not Alliance. Blood elf. Blood elf.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry if I offended anybody, but I am Horde all the way.
Listen, I play both. Oh, wow.
But yeah, I woke up and I'm like, holy crap. Dragon Con's Thursday. Today's Monday.
Yeah.
I have 3 days to get court ready for next week. It starts. Dragon Con goes through Monday, Labor Day, and court starts Tuesday.
Oh, gross.
I know. And how am I going to get this done? So now that it's the night of Monday, I have 2 days left to get ready. So that's how my week is going.
Bless. I feel that a lot, actually, because so I was talking to Sid yesterday or this morning or something, and I had planned this whole experiment for this week, but it takes a week. And so I had planned this whole experiment, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to be gone on Thursday. And I fixed it. I have everything worked out, but I was just like, oh, like I have,
we're not giving up Dragon Con.
No, well, I also keep forgetting that my birthday is this week. Like Sid is like, oh, for Wednesday dinner, we got to go and do this. And I was like, why? I was like, why are we going this? And she's like, your birthday, you stupid. And I'm like, oh, you're right. Yeah.
So now, we will celebrate your birthday at Dragon Con, which will be fun.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm very excited about Dragon Con. Missed it last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was very smart of them to cancel.
It was,
you know, and they probably should have canceled this year too.
They should, but they're not gonna.
Well, and we are vaccinated, and we will wear masks.
Absolutely wear masks.
So we're as safe as we can be in a group of 100 million people that are going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, luckily they've limited capacity and all that kind of stuff.
They have
taken some precautions and
I've heard that a lot of people aren't going because they have, you know, underlying conditions, which if we did, we wouldn't be going either. But I feel like all of us, even your youngest sister, have all been vaccinated. We are all prepared to wear the masks.
Yep.
Social distance as much as we can. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it'll be fun. And like you said, we're wearing masks, we're vaccinated.
And you guys, we're going to try to do a lot of the writer's track there.
Yeah.
So we will come back and report on what we've learned.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm 100%.
Very excited about it. We've done a lot of topics on the topics they're already talking, but it would be neat to see the perspectives of other writers and come back and report and say, hey, you know, we did a topic on this before, but here's what we learned this time.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. The other thing that is really important that I did this week was I put up the shelf you gave me for Christmas.
Yeah.
One of the two. I have only done one so far. And I've got all my dragon statues and my figurines on there. I love it.
I love it. That's awesome.
And it's right above, I'm looking at it right now. That's why I'm looking at it. It's right above my computer so that when I'm stuck in here doing Zoom court for an entire week at a time, I look up and I see all my dragons. And they're adorable. I love them.
That's wonderful. I love it.
So now I need more dragons.
You do need more dragons.
I have a whole nother shelf to put together that needs more dragons on it.
Oh, you do. All right. Mission acquired.
Dragon Con. Dragons.
Yes.
What are you eating and drinking?
I have not eaten yet, which doesn't bode well because we've been doing this for a little while.
And you've been drinking.
And I have been drinking.
since you got home from work?
So, but I think after this, yes, since I got, it's been a bit. So I think after this, I'm going to eat some Alfredo, pasta. We made some homemade Alfredo on Friday, so a few days ago. So and it's absolutely delicious.
Yum.
We make a mean homemade Alfredo. And then
your mouth is watering.
No, I knew you were going to say it. I knew. And then I'm drinking a Bloody Mary. So I got some Zing Zang mix.
Oh, that's my favorite.
And it's fabulous. So
I wonder if they would sponsor us.
I was about to say, we're not sponsored by Zing Zang, but I go get it. It's very good.
It is very good. Yeah, we should be sponsored by Zing Zang because I love it.
It's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, we've already eaten dinner. It's your littlest sister's birthday today, and we are going to celebrate her birthday at Dragon Con. That is part of her birthday present. So we're going to do dinner and all that, but we wanted something on her birthday. So we made one of her favorite meals, which is spaghetti.
Nice.
And broccoli. And we got her an ice cream cake. So
wonderful.
We did that tonight. So
that sounds fabulous. I love your spaghetti. So
so good. And I am just drinking my wine.
Good.
Is my usual.
Yeah.
Okay, I have jokes.
Oh, of course you do. I better think they're funny because I'm a little schmipsy.
I hope so, because they're really bad.
All right.
So time travel, of course. So time travel jokes.
Yeah.
Why can cutlery teleport but not time travel?
Why?
It's silverware, not silver win. Have you heard of the upcoming movie where a time traveler gets transformed into a chicken?
No.
It's called Bach to the Future. What do you call a time traveling cow?
What?
Dr. Moo.
Well, I'm too slow for this one.
For
Hold
Doctor
on.
Who.
Oh, God. Okay. Listen, sorry. You had to explain that one to me. I'm just slow today.
Well, and we've been drinking, and it is just it's only Monday, and it's already a long week.
Yep. Feel that.
Okay. So writing time travel. I mean, this is honestly one of my favorite things. Anytime a time travel movie comes up or a time travel book comes out, I have to either watch it or read it because it is something that I think everybody is so interested in. It is a fascination, not just for me, but for a lot of readers and moviegoers. It captures our imagination. It lets us experience those what ifs. What if Hitler had died? What if, what would life be like now? And that hooks us in.
Well, it's funny that you actually use the term what if, which I guess it's not that funny. You say it all the time, whatever. Anyway, but Marvel just released a new show called What If about different timelines. So
really, I didn't even know.
It's on Disney Plus. But yeah, so I think what if is a big part of time travel and talking about time travel and writing time travel.
And we always talk on this show about what ifs. That is a huge way of plotting. That's a huge way of doing any kind of novel is, well, what if? And I love time travel. So it is very easy to write a bad time travel book.
True. Yes.
The plot holes, the mind-bending errors that leave your readers. How many times have you read a book and you're like, what?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think even without plot holes, time travel can be a bit confusing. So if written poorly, it's absolutely the most confusing thing ever. So
it's definitely easy to write a bad one, but we want to help you all write good ones. Now, this particular episode isn't going to get into the how-tos necessarily of writing the depths of a time travel book. We're going to talk about the different types of time traveling. So time traveling has become a trope, and you are going to want to twist it up, but that's not really hard to do because it really is literally, it's fiction. So you can do anything you want to with time travel. So switching it up is not going to be that hard. There are different types of time travel, and I've just got a few to mention where information travels through time, not people.
Oh, okay.
Where you travel through time and things can be changed by the time travel.
Right.
Where things can't be changed through the time travel. Time loops.
Right. And
consciousness travel, where it's not your whole body that goes, but your consciousness that goes.
Oh, your mind that goes. Okay.
Yeah. So the information time travel, in this type of novel, people don't actually travel. It's just that information that travels.
Yeah, I was wondering what you meant by this. So basically, like, messages or something gets used in another time in a way that like the MC, the main character, does it on purpose.
Yes, well, or not on purpose. So, like, for example, The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Have you ever seen that movie?
I adore that movie. Yes,
I do too. So in that movie, you have the two protagonists, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, and they exchange letters through this mailbox, but she's in 2006 and he's in 2004.
Right. Yeah.
And so there is this time travel, but it's information. They aren't traveling themselves physically back and forth between 2004 and 2006.
Right.
It's just this information, these letters that are going back and forth, and they fall in love with each other through those letters.
Yeah.
And during the course of this movie, because it's only 2 years, this is not going to work if it's 100 years. Well, it could work if it was 100 years. It could work, but in this particular movie, it's only, however many years is that for 2 years.
Oh my God.
I can do math. Hey, I'm a lawyer. I'm not a mathematician. Okay. It's 2 years. So it's a very well written. There are no plot holes in this movie.
I need to watch it again. It's been a very long time, but I remember very much enjoying it.
Yeah, I had to pick your dad's brain about it because at several movies and books, I had to pick his brain about. I was like, was this the one that did this and this? And because we're talking about time travel today. And yeah, he got annoyed with me, but that's okay. So he loves it.
Yeah.
So that particular movie, which I think was based on a book, was the exchange of information through letters.
Right.
Another example is Frequency, which there's been both a movie and a series, which I think were also based on books. So in the movie, a father and son are communicating with each other 30 years apart through like a CB radio.
Oh, interesting. I've never seen this one.
There's some kind of atmospheric anomaly which allows them to communicate with each other 30 years apart. They can't physically go 30 years, but it's this information they're able to talk across 30 years.
Interesting.
And that transfer of information is helping them to save certain people and change certain events.
Neat.
Yes. The next one, which I don't know if you ever watched this one either, I'm showing my age, but Early Edition. It was a TV series.
Nope.
Really, really good series. It came out about the same time that what was it? It was Eliza Dushku.
True Calling.
Yeah,
that one's super good.
Yeah, it was.
But I've not seen Early Edition.
It was about the same time frame.
Okay.
And it's called Early Edition, and the main character in this one gets tomorrow's newspaper, and there's a cat involved too somehow. This cat is always there when this newspaper gets delivered, and it has events. So he's reading tomorrow's headlines. President gets shot, and he's got to somehow stop that from happening.
That's super cool. That's really neat.
It's a really, really good series. So that's another example of he's not traveling through time, but he's getting information from the future.
Right. So that he can change it. I do have, this has made me think of another example. Charmed. So, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where it's not necessarily a but that it's not an urban fantasy, because Charmed is very much urban fantasy. But they do a lot of time travel in Charmed, which
I guess they do. You're right.
They do. But specifically for this information section that you're talking about, there was a time where they hid a note in the floorboards so that it would reach their son in the future when he needed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was with them in the present, and he was like, you know what? Don't let those floorboards, like, don't fix those floorboards without me or whatever. And so he was telling them like, hey, hide something in the floorboards. And then he went to the future. And so in the floorboards was a note that they put in there for him.
Oh, I didn't remember that until you just now said it. There was a lot of time travel.
There was a lot of time travel. There were a few other times as I was researching this where it's like, you know what? Charmed is a great example of time travel in urban fantasy.
And it's done well with no freaking plot holes. There's so many times where I've read a book or watched a movie and I'm like, okay, that couldn't have happened because they forgot those issues.
Yeah.
There are almost always plot holes.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very easy to write a bad time travel novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's the time travel where you actually go through time and things can be changed. This is probably the most common, at least from what I've read or watched.
Right.
So you travel back in time and you actually can change things. So, you go back to kill Hitler and you can kill Hitler.
Right. However, I will say that you can even travel forward in time, but I will talk about that in a second.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a whole nother episode that we could do on traveling forward in time.
Yes.
But the question is, if you travel back in time and you do change things, what does that do to your quote present? To the present that we're in now. Now, one of my favorite authors when I first started reading as a little kid was Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
I mean, that man was brilliant. And I would read his short stories because at that age, I was probably 8 when I started reading him. And I think these stories, the short story novels that they put out with a compilation of his books was like done in 1955, which was long before I was born.
But it wasn't that long before you.
It was too. But I loved this particular, stop laughing at me, this short story, Sound of Thunder.
Yeah. Now, that's a great one.
Yeah, you all know Sound of Thunder because of the movie that was made, but it was based on Ray Bradbury's short story. And, thinking of what is this going to do with the present? So in the movie and in the book, these hunters pay money to go back in time to kill dinosaurs, this great hunt experience that you can't get in modern day world, but it has to be very carefully choreographed so that nothing that wasn't meant to die dies.
Right.
And in that story, and I think it's a little bit different in the short story, I don't know that it was a butterfly. It might have been a butterfly, but in the movie, one of the hunters steps off, he gets scared and he steps off of the pathway and he kills a butterfly, and that one butterfly changes everything. It might have been a butterfly because I think it was Ray Bradbury that's been coined with coming up with the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And so that stepping off the path and killing that butterfly altered the entire future.
Yeah.
Which that brings me to the actual Butterfly Effect movie with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
That also was based on Ray Bradbury's short story, the Thunder, whatever I said.
Sound of Thunder.
Sound of Thunder. That's it. Wow. Okay. So I have been drinking for a little while. I am so sorry, you all. Actually, I'm not sorry because it's a lot of fun. But in that Ashton Kutcher movie, The Butterfly Effect, he goes back in time trying to fix things for this girl that he loves. He's trying to fix her life. Mm-hmm. And the more he goes back, the more horrific.
The more he messes it up. Yeah.
It's horrible. But such a good movie.
Yep.
All inspired by Ray Bradbury, who I keep trying to get your little sister to read.
My littlest one, because I think Jordan has read him. Yeah.
I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And I could go on a whole entire podcast episode about his short stories.
Hey, we could.
He was absolutely brilliant. Probably one of the first urban fantasy masters that there was.
I guess I haven't read much of him, so I don't know how much of his stuff is like urban fantasy versus like science fiction.
Both.
Both.
But like The Sound of Thunder was set in that time in the 50s, current time, and it was an election year, and it was a politician that had gone back, and it changed everything. So that is kind of urban fantasy, but it is also science fiction.
Right.
Both, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
He was just a brilliant man.
Yeah.
So yeah, the butterfly effect, it could also kind of be, it could fit under that consciousness travel as well, which we're going to talk about in a minute, because
yeah,
he doesn't physically in his own age, that body doesn't go back. When he does these time changes, he's in his younger self when he does the changes.
Right.
So it could also be a consciousness type of change. But it's time travel for sure. Let's see. Oh, another one of my favorite movies, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which we all know. Jean-Claude Van Damme has great action movies, and it is what it is. And that's what you watch them for, is the value of, the hero.
You don't have to justify yourself. It's okay, Mom.
I love the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And so his best movie, in my opinion, that he ever made was Time Cop.
I don't know that I've seen that one, or I have in passing, but like,
you might have to watch that one because, and a lot of people like, oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Number one, I think he can act fine. Number two, he is really, kung fu, whatever oriented.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's good looking. So,
Well, that doesn't do much for me, but sure.
Well, that's true. But I love Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I take the value at firsthand, but Time Cop is above and beyond. And it was very well done. And the concept of time travel wasn't screwed up, which you would expect with the low quality action movies that it might be. But It also has roots to that Ray Bradbury short story. I mean, everything goes back to Ray Bradbury and Sound of Thunder.
Yeah.
You should go watch that movie. It really was well done. It talked about the different time paradoxes that we can talk about in another episode, and it handled them very well.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sad in one way and happy in one. We'll talk about it when we talk about other parts of time travel, but it was a really, really well done movie.
Yeah. Okay.
The next one, Back to the Future, of course.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's a great example of how time travel can change things. He goes back in time, meets his dad and his mom, and his dad ends up being a hero, and Biff, who was the bully, ends up being the unsuccessful one, which is not how it was when he went back in time to begin with. Yeah,
definitely. There was another example that I came up with here also. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said you could go to the future in order to change it or whatever. The Tomorrow War on Amazon.
I know. I watched it. I don't remember.
You want to know why you don't remember?
Was I drunk?
You were very drunk.
Did we watch it on the 4th of July?
We did.
Yeah, I don't remember much of the 4th of July this year.
I'm not surprised, but this was actually the first time that you said, hey, we should do an episode on time travel.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah. So the Tomorrow War is basically the main character is taken to the future in order to change it there. So same kind of concept. He goes forward and fights this alien war is the concept of the movie. And he realizes how to stop it and goes back to the present to stop it, to change the future. But the present is, the main character's present is technically the past of the movie.
Oh, that's interesting. And I don't remember any of that, of course, but this reminds me of the Dragon Riders of Pern.
Oh, interesting.
And you haven't read those yet.
I have not.
There is also a going through time to the future in that one that is also very, very, very well done.
See, I think going to the future is also a very interesting take on time travel.
I had forgotten that until you mentioned that. Well, I don't remember the Tomorrow War at all, but the Dragon Riders of Pern, I do highly recommend you read those.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent books. Not urban fantasy. They're definitely fantasy.
Yeah.
And a little bit of science fiction, because they are people that were from our world that traveled to other worlds.
Right.
Okay, so there is time travel where things can't be changed.
Yeah.
Which is another one that is really messes with my head. So in this particular type of novel, you have the ability to travel, but no matter what you do, you can't change history.
I like to think of this one as like, it's very similar in my head to self-fulfilling
prophecies. Exactly. Yes, definitely. So my first example is Harry Potter and the Time Turner. So this was kind of like a paradox. So you think they go back to save Buckbeak from being executed.
Yes.
But when they go back, you see that he never was really executed.
Right.
And it's all the same timeline.
Right.
So Buckbeak never really died because they went back in time to begin with. It messes with your head. This is a very difficult one to write, but you're right. It is very much like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah. And also in Harry Potter, didn't they get told to be super careful not to be seen? So implying that they could change something, or something would happen, like bad things happen to wizards who mess with time, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like kind of implied that like, oh, you can change the future just because you can be seen by yourself or whatever.
I don't know, but it's very clear that everything they saw, when the executioner did the axe and the birds go flying, where they assumed, oh no, Buckbeak has been executed.
Right.
But they caused that to happen.
Right.
When they had gone back in time. It just messes with my mind. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think it's good to play with the consequences of time travel, whether it's, can be changed or can't be changed.
I mean, Terminator, that's another example.
Oh, yeah.
You've watched all of those movies, or some of them? Okay, so and this one, you can go back and change things, but you can't change things. So in the very first one, the warrior from the future goes back in time to try to stop the murder of the mother of their leader. And it seems like one of those that doesn't really change, the picture that he had of her, that he fell in love with her before he even went back in time, from this picture that he had. That picture was taken because he went back in time and he impregnated her with the future leader. I mean, nothing really changed. It couldn't have been what he knew in the future without him going back in time.
Right.
And even though the cyborg tried to kill her, he couldn't.
Right.
So, all the movies of that whole series are trying to kill her, or trying to kill her son, or trying to stop them from stopping the revolution against machines.
Yeah.
So I guess the Terminator is really a little bit of both. It's kind of a, you can change certain things, but you can't change others. So maybe major events you can't change, but little events you can.
Right, right.
So there are hybrids that you can do out there.
Yeah, definitely. You can mix it up. Mix it up a lot.
And then time loops.
Yeah.
These are super fun.
They're super, super fun.
Yeah. So Example one, which a lot of people don't know this, but I am an Eliza Dushku nerd. So
Same.
Open Graves with Eliza Dushku involves a time loop.
That's
And
a good one too. Yeah.
It's really well done.
It's Jumanji-esque for anybody who's
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like horror style.
Horror style Jumanji.
Yeah.
Which Jumanji was kind of horror in and of itself, except for not.
Young adult horror.
Young adult horror. Yeah. One of my favorite examples of this time loop is that Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it's called.
Love that movie.
Tom Cruise, which I'm not a super Tom Cruise fan.
Me neither.
He is a very good action adventure actor.
I am a big Emily Blunt fan though, and she's in it. So
that's true. Oh, she's awesome in this one. So in this one, they took the time loop concept with a fresh perspective, and it totally works.
Yeah.
It's an alien war, and the goo from one of the prime aliens has the ability to create a time loop, which is why the aliens are winning.
Yep.
They're winning this war because they do have the ability to see what's going to happen and try to make changes. So Tom Cruise gets gooped by one of these alien primes, and this time loop ensues.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of the only Tom Cruise movies I actually enjoy. Because I'm not a Tom Cruise fan either, but this one is absolutely fabulous, and it does time loops so well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the stories. I like the stories that Tom Cruise plays in. And he is a very good, like, I love all the Mission Impossibles. They're
just so cheesy usually.
Well, it came from the original series of Mission Impossible, which I watched as a little kid.
Yeah.
Way, way, way before your time.
Yeah.
And
I know back in like 1950s. Or whatever.
Before they had electricity. yeah, that's it. And a modern day example of the time loop is Happy Death Day.
Love that movie.
So well done. So I love this movie too. It rolls humor, the time loop, mystery, life lessons, all into one really, really good movie.
It's so good.
Now, in number 2, it does come out that it's kind of this time machine that is what created this time loop.
Yeah.
We'll do an episode on methods of time travel, the time machines, whatever.
Right.
But Happy Death Day is absolutely amazing modern day take on time loops. Another example, the most classic probably example, is Groundhog Day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another one where a not so great character ends up learning by living the same day over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, it's classic. And then just to bring in an urban fantasy example, the Supernatural episode where the trickster stuck them in a time loop.
Oh my God, I love that one.
Yes, yeah.
Where Dean dies over and over. Of course, Sam is like reliving this day, and Dean has no idea that he's dying every time. And Sam is like, oh my God, he's going to die again. So Sam is doing all these things to try to prevent Dean's death, and he dies different ways, hilarious ways, like a piano falling on top of him.
It is such a good episode, and it involves time loops, and it's another Supernatural example because they use urban fantasy example.
Yeah.
Whatever. Because they use the trickster to do it. So
very, very good example. I didn't even think of that one.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, consciousness time travel. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where the person doesn't travel, just their mind does. So the best example I could come up with is Quantum Leap, which was a series probably before your time.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Scott Bakula acted in it. You might have seen him in one of the Star Trek. He was a captain in Star Trek, but prior to that, he played in Quantum Leap. It was a really good series as well.
Yeah,
and his consciousness gets sent back to fix anomalies So I remember one of the ones I thought was really cool was he gets sent back and he meets Martin Luther King.
Oh, nice.
But he doesn't realize it's Martin Luther King until the
Oh.
very end. And so you're going through and they're trying to right the wrongs of whatever is going on in that time period.
Yeah.
And at the very end, the guy's like, you know, this is a fresh start for me. I am going to make I feel like a king. I'm going to make my last name King. And then we're all like, oh my God, that was Martin Luther King.
That's awesome. That's cool.
It was very cool. So that's an excellent example of consciousness travel.
Yeah.
Do you remember Contact with Jodie Foster?
I do. Yeah.
I think you really liked it. It was not one of my favorite movies. It was not one of my favorite movies, but in that one, she makes contact with aliens and they go through all this rigmarole and it's on the cameras and she's going to go and meet these aliens and make contact. And in her mind, her consciousness does.
Yeah.
But she goes through this immense amount of time in her consciousness, but her physical body doesn't go anywhere. And so everybody watching on TV is like, oh, nothing happened. And,
yeah,
you know, humanity only sees it as seconds. And it was just, I didn't like that because I mean, there's a reason for it. Courtney would have loved it. She probably did love it. I just wasn't for me. Jodie Foster is an amazing actor. So.
She is. Yeah, she's really good. And I remember that the movie was very interesting in the way that they did things.
Was that a Michael Crichton book?
I feel like it was. I think it was, but I can't say for sure. So
you know, Michael Crichton did Timeline, which was one where they found this one particular wormhole and you could only go back to this time in France. Oh. It was during that was in France and there was some war. Now I'll have to go and look it up. I didn't think of it obviously in time to research it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen that one, but the book was better than the movie.
I've only read a few of his books. I've read, Congo and the Andromeda Strain.
I've read all
Jurassic
of them.
Park. Yeah, mm-hmm. But I don't think I've read the one that you're thinking of.
You should read that one. The book was spectacular. It's kind of like Stephen King, where it's hard to translate that kind of brilliance on paper into movie form.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and you just can't take what he's able to embody in written form and translate it into film. You just can't. And Michael Crichton was that way as well. Although a lot of his books have been successfully turned into movies, they changed a lot in the Timeline movie.
Yeah.
That I was like, why did they have to? There was no reason to change. The book
a lot of things. Yeah.
It was like Blood and Chocolate. Why did they? Although I kind of like the movie ending better. Okay, we're getting way off topic.
We're way off topic.
Okay, so another one where it's consciousness travel is The Travelers. It's a Netflix series. Have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't, but I've heard it's good.
It is amazing, and they ended it very well.
Is it like completely done?
It is completely done.
Oh.
And the ending was like amazing.
Nice.
I was like, that was the perfect way to end that. But it was where they were able to send consciousness back into time, into bodies that were about you sent it into a body that right as it died.
Right. I know the concept.
Yeah. And they're trying to stop this war that is happening in their present time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they go directly into the bodies of these people that had died for whatever reason.
Right.
And they carry on with those people's lives, which one was an FBI agent.
Oh gosh.
He goes back and that gives him access to things and to try to fix this problem that's occurring in the future.
Right.
Really, really well done.
Nice.
So those are my examples of the types. There are so many more. We could talk for hours, and I don't know how long we've been talking, but we've been talking for a while.
I do have one more example though, off the top of my head, and it goes back to Charmed.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah, the episode where they decide to cast a spell to go to the future to see why Phoebe is being executed.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It is, and they don't travel to the future in their current bodies. They're, the present.
Their consciousness goes into their future bodies. Yeah.
Yes. So that's another really interesting twist on time travel, is to send your own consciousness to your future body.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of change things that way.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a funeral. Gosh,
you have a funeral?
No, I do have a few general.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense than funeral.
A little bit more sense. A few general tips for writing time travel, but I think we're going to do a lot more in-depth episodes in the future. But I kind of wanted to give you guys like an idea of like, well, if you want to write time travel, like how exactly, like what kind of things should I be thinking about?
I am super excited to do more. So tell me what we should be thinking about.
Yeah. So choose your mode of time travel carefully. So all of these types of time travel that we've talked about today, think about, which kind would work for your novel, why that type, how will the plot points work in it?
Yeah, because sometimes if you limit them to only consciousness travel, right, that is, or, the information travel, you are so limited, like that father and son that were 30 years apart.
Right.
It would be so helpful if they could actually just go, and they couldn't. And so that can add that tension and conflict.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Good point.
If you're traveling back in time, be careful not to include informational dumps about history and such. You want to be careful about information dumps in general in whatever you're writing. But
I'm sorry.
But if you're writing about history, be careful not to just do like a whole info dump, like work that information in as you would any other information for a novel. Yes. What would you like to say?
Okay. So one of my favorite things is historical romances. And I do love these time travel romances, which you love Karen Manning as much as I do.
Yes.
And her early stuff before she wrote the Fever series, a lot of hers dealt with that time travel. You find yourself in, ancient barbarian time, Outlanders that way too, that Outlander type, thing. And it's, you can get across a lot of history without having to do an info dump.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
It's so much fun because you can have them in the court where we all know what the history was of that court, Queen Elizabeth, or
I don't know. I sucked at history, so
or whatever, but you can have our main character there witnessing what we know happened for real in history and explaining it like, oh, that happened because this, and this was really going on in the background. I love that.
Absolutely. That's great. But I think still info dumps, probably avoid those.
Definitely.
I agree. I think you could do some really fun stuff with behind the scenes history if you use time travel that way.
I love it.
Whatever type of oh no, my brain. It's done.
No. You sound like Betamax. Oh no.
Whatever type of time travel you decide to use, make sure that the rules that you make for it are very clear. I think that goes for pretty much anything in fantasy or fiction.
Yeah.
You don't want to confuse your reader, so time travel can already be confusing with clear rules. So just make sure that you have rules laid out.
And that's part of some of the bad ones that I've read. I'm like, that it didn't follow any logical. There was no way for the reader to understand. Just be careful. You're right. Be careful.
Map out your timelines. I do this for my books and I don't even write time travel. So I imagine not doing it. I can't imagine not doing it for a book where I am writing time travel.
Yeah. And if you're a patron, if you would like to support us, then I believe you did something for our patrons.
I did do a timeline template.
Yes. So
I use PowerPoint for my timelines. So each slide is a different day or whatever. But yeah, there is a template for that on our Patreon.
And our One of our patrons absolutely loves it. She said that it has really helped her a lot. So come support us and you can have it too.
Absolutely. I think they're very useful for catching plot holes.
Yeah.
You can go back and quickly see, oh, this happened on this day. So it makes sense for this.
Yeah, for real. Cause I always have trouble like, wait a minute, what day is it? When did this, it's supposed to be nighttime now. Oh, I've got a problem. So
imagine having that issue with a book where you're not including time travel. I think it would be very beneficial to use it for books that you are writing time travel in.
Definitely.
One thing that I do in general as I'm writing is I add comments into my document about fact checking things that I've written previously. So things like, did the main character actually say this? And I'll put that in a comment as I'm writing. So like I don't have to go and check it now.
Like on Word? You make a comment? Okay.
Yeah, specifically Word. I guess I use Word the most. And I'll write in a comment because I'll, want this witty quip of dialogue. And I'm like, oh, does that actually work with what she said before? And so I'll put in a comment and be like, go and check that. And then that way I can keep that witty dialogue and change either that or change the dialogue later as I go back on my rewrite. But I also think that could be very helpful for writing timeline things, is like, check this timeline, make sure that this works with the timeline.
Time travel is very, very tricky. It's not for the faint of heart.
No, I don't know that I will ever write time travel. So
I have plans to write lots of things, but I'm very ambitious. So we shall see if it really happens.
That's fair. I don't know that I have an interest in writing time travel. I'll put it that way. I love consuming time travel media, but I don't know that I care to write it myself.
I think if I were going to write it, I would do it in a horror setting, because time travel or time loops in particular are great in horror settings. I really do want to write horror novels.
Yeah.
Which is so funny, because I feel like a lot of people start with horror because it's, quote, easy. It is not.
It's formulaic.
Easy. It is not. To be a master like Stephen King, it is not.
Right. Well, to be fair, I don't know that any writing is, quote unquote, easy.
Romances are supposed to be easy too. And I've tried to write them several times and I'm like, this is a whole different ballgame than I thought. And I really, really respect romance writers out there. I don't know what my point was. It went out of my head.
Well, that's all right, because I'm out of information. So I am done with my notes.
Me too.
I do have an interview question for you.
Okay.
And it is more of a discussion question.
Okay.
So how do you think that you could do time travel in an urban fantasy novel? And we've talked about it a little bit throughout this, Charmed, and Supernatural, but it's, how do you think that you could incorporate it into a novel?
In an urban fantasy, I mean, in high fantasy, I think it would be easier.
No urban fantasy.
I mean, those Charmed examples are really good examples.
Absolutely. I think witchcraft would be a very, obvious way to do it. You manipulate time through witchcraft.
Mm-hmm. And I love the whole time loop thing. I know I'm stuck on that. I'm a broken record. I'm a loop. Okay.
Wow. Okay, that should have been one of your jokes.
Well, that's probably not funny, but right now it sounds funny.
It's great.
What about you?
No, I think witchcraft is a very unique way to do it. I think also think about, and this isn't an original idea, but the Fever series, they use the silvers. So stepping into a mirror is what made me think of it. So stepping into a mirror and time moves differently that way.
That's true. It might not be time travel, but time moves differently and different. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like a fold in time and space, like the Grave Witch novels with like Fairy and Fairy in that series, time moves differently.
Absolutely. Or even like, say you eat like a magical herb or something like that puts your body into stasis. And when you wake up, it's been X number of years, but you haven't aged. You haven't done anything like that.
Like Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
He slept for 100 years? Was it 100 years and didn't age like and all of that? Yeah,
exactly. So, I think things like that would be really unique for urban fantasy. and talking about it. That's kind of why I did a discussion question, is because it's very fun to talk with you about these things and spark some inspiration.
I really could think, like, I'm thinking our wall story could have some kind of time.
I was going to say
travel.
That's very true. I think that would be
I think that might make that book deeper than we've thought so far.
I agree. On another one of our book ideas, we have that one with the Past Lives Library.
Oh, yeah.
That one would be interesting. We could do something with time there too.
Oh, I like that. It's really difficult to do a good job with time travel because there are so many, the paradox, you've got to do a lot of depth and planning, which I love to do. I'd love to research. I'd love to plan. So I think we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think our listeners can do it.
Absolutely.
Anything can be done.
Yeah.
Well, and nice. we will do more episodes. I can think of at least 3 more topics on time travel that we can talk about, if not more.
Definitely. I think we could talk about it forever. So I do have a sentence challenge for anybody who's interested. This week's sentence is a bit of dialogue, so it's not as if I can go back 1,000 years into the past.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah. So.
Okay, do our outro because I can't right now.
Listen, I didn't used to do the outro every time.
I know, but you're good at it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are a bunch of goofballs that enjoy drinking, obviously, and talking about writing, and hopefully you guys enjoy the same. You guys can reach out to us on our website at eatdrinkwritepodcast.com. You can find pretty much anything there that you need in order to access our material. So the best way to get in touch with us is our email at eat.drink.write.podcast@gmail.com. That is the best way to get in touch with us. We love getting emails from you guys. We love seeing all of your comments. All of our social media is on our website as well. If you feel like, what's the word? Contributing. I suppose that works. If you feel like contributing to our podcast, feel free to go and check out our Patreon at patreon.com/EDW. I forgot that last week. And thank you guys so much for listening. We have a few special things on our Patreon for our Patreons who donate to our podcast, a few different templates for different writing exercises and things like that. But yeah, no, thank you guys for listening. We really enjoy doing this for y'all. We also just enjoy talking and drinking and eating. So,
and writing.
We worked our brand pretty well. So
I think so. So y'all, I hope to see you guys at Dragon Con.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you're going. It'd be very fun to talk to you guys.
All right. See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you guys.